Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today I'm taking a look at Hunter the Reckoning Wayward. Now, I've made no secret in the past that I'm a bit of a World of Darkness fanboy. It started with the old vampire games, so Redemption and Bloodlines, and that kind of drew me into the whole World of Darkness thing that I got around to when it became sort of new World of Darkness. So I missed out on Vampire Requiem, I think it was. No, not Requiem's a new one. It was The Masquerade, wasn't it? The old one. Which was a bit of a shame, because what I really liked that is they had the whole endpoint to the thing where you had Gehenna coming up, which is basically the vampire apocalypse, and they were like, this is the endpoint, and they actually did it, which was kind of cool. So I've gotten into it sort of in the second one where you had the World of Darkness and all the other books that sort of plugged into it. I do have Vampire, Mage, and recently Werewolf. I've never run a game in any of those, but I have run games in World of Darkness. So when I discovered that there was a series of games that was based in the World of Darkness that I'd never played before, I was quite on board with that, because Hunter the Reckoning basically has passed me by. And as a result of playing these games, I thought, well, let's have a look and see if I can get the book. And I looked on eBay, and this is what I found. Yeah, so I'm not getting the book anytime soon. I think the best way to describe World of Darkness is kind of like the first couple of seasons of Supernatural. That's the analogy I always use anyway, because it's in the first few seasons it was more just two guys with a bit of knowledge of what's going on and having to try to deal with it. Later seasons they became more superhero-esque and sort of acquired abilities and stuff like that, like Sam and his demon blood and all of that stuff, which was fine for the show, but kind of took it away from this whole sort of everyday person having to deal with the supernatural that sort of World of Darkness is centered around. But Hunter the Reckoning, as I say, I've not got the book, so I'm just speaking of what I've learned in the games, is a bit more like late season Supernatural, where they have benefits and boons and wards and edges, they're called in the game, that they can use to buff themselves and stuff like that. So it's a bit more superhero-y. So I think late season Supernatural is a better analogy for these. The game itself is a twin stick shooter with a lot of emphasis on melee, which is kind of weird in twin stick, but does work. You start off with 4 hunters that are selectable. You have a big badass biker dude with a battle axe and a rifle. You have a priest with a broadsword and a crossbow. You have 2 women, because, yep, cool, equality. One with a magnum and a katana, who isn't as good in melee as you might think with a katana. You would think that would slice through him like butter, but not quite. And then you have a girl with 2 kamas and 2 pistols, who's not very good in melee at all. I really didn't like the way her attack sort of flowed. And then later in the game you actually unlock a 5th hunter that you can play as. You do earn experience as you go through the game. Generally this increases the potency and availability of your edges, which are the special abilities, and this may boost your melee damage. It might be a heal, and it might sorry about that garbage truck that picked up like one thing and then went, just to annoy me, presumably, because that's what the council does. Cards on the table. I was going to review the first game, which is just Hunter the Reckoning, which is, I believe, Xbox exclusive. But so some lady got given a title, like years ago, that she didn't have to work for, and the only way she could lose it was to die or say she didn't want it. And now apparently we have bank holidays because she hasn't died or said that she doesn't want it. So yes, Mr. Postman is relatively ineffective, so I'm having to review the earliest one that's come. Of the 3, the second one is the only PS2 one. The third one is again back on Xbox, but it's not part of Microsoft's backwards compatibility. So I'm going to be trying to emulate that one. And who knows, if it's completely terrible and worse than the second one, I might not bother, because I am having fun with the second. And Xbox emulation, at least the way I'm looking to do it, probably means I have to try and rip the disc, which is just adding more complexity on top of it. It runs. I am running this PS2 one emulated as well, although I did obviously buy the game itself. Not too bad in terms of getting it running. I had some sort of weird fog effect on it, which I managed to get rid of via emulation settings. So it actually looks pretty good. It's upscaled to 1440, what you're seeing, although you're seeing it rendered at 1080-60, even though it's 1440-50 natively. But I'd rather get the extra frame rate, to be honest, than any higher resolution, and that's what my editing software goes up to in 60. So you pay your money, you take your choice, you know. I'd rather the frame rate personally, but whatever. The game does follow on from the first one, and as it's the only one I've played so far, as I say, the other two are in the intangible grasp of postal workers. So I did come in. They do reference the first game a little bit, but it's not anything that doesn't make me go, oh, okay, I can't play this. So you basically turn up, you looking for a couple of hunters that have gone missing, and it's about trying to find them. The game itself, it's a lot of fun, but there are some caveats to that fun. You will find yourself killing a lot of bad guys, almost in gauntlet numbers, and you will find yourself killing the same bad guys. Even in enemy types, there's only a few variations between them. So from that aspect, you know, it's killing the same enemies a lot, so that can get a little bit boring. They do a good job introducing new things though. So you start off killing the rotted, which are essentially zombies and look like regular old zombies, and then you have variants of those who look a little bit more skeletal. Gargoyles, rats that barf this mist at you, which I didn't think that was a thing rats could do, but they can in this. They're also rather large rats, obviously. And you know, you do. There's bosses in it as well. The first time I died in the game was to the first real boss character in. Well, it wasn't the first real boss I thought, really, but it was the first hard boss I thought, which is a werewolf. There is a mission you need to do to get like silver ammo to go and fight the werewolf, although you don't. It's not a thing you equip. It just makes your guns effective, I guess, and allows you to fight the boss. The finding of the silver for that is a bit of a pain in the ass because it's spread amongst previous levels. You can go back to any level you've previously played and replay it. There's nothing other to do with it other than kill things, but you can grind to get your characters up. The characters you're not using will acquire experience, just not at the same rate as the character you're using. You can also play it locally, cooperatively with another player, which is nice, but obviously something that I've not had the opportunity to try, primarily because I don't have a second controller for any of my systems, because, hey, what can I say, I don't have any friends. But it is a good fun game. It's not very expensive. I think my copy cost me like £5 or something. If you've got a PS2 and you haven't tried it and you are a fan of Twin Stick or even World of Darkness, I would definitely say give it a go. As I said, it makes me want to play the game itself because it seems to be sort of original World of Darkness, but just a little bit on steroids, where you have like clans of hunters and you have almost like classes. Like I don't know because I haven't got the book and I don't have much experience in the game, but they all have a different class, like Avenger or Wayward. I think Waywards are like Ronins that aren't like part of a specific sect or something. The Wayward of the game is the 5th character that you pick up. So you go and try and find what happened to these hunters. You go to their hotel room, which becomes your home base. From the home base, you can go to a board which allows you to select missions. You go to a computer which allows you to read emails, which includes stuff from other characters or just lore stuff about the monsters that you're facing. I think if you kill enough monsters, it will eventually unlock a 3D model that you can view. You can view in-game cutscenes. Unfortunately, the in-game cutscenes on emulation are a little bit stuttery. I'm sure it was fine if you're playing on native hardware though. So Hunter the Reckoning, solid game. I would like to see a bit more enemy variety. I do like the fact you can go back and like grind. That's good. If you run into a mission that you can't do, then that's a good way of being able to like increase your character power in order to get it. The leveling up itself is a little bit mysterious. I'm assuming I'm doing more damage and can take more damage, but it's never really upfront with what it's doing when you level up. It's just like your character becomes more powerful. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. I like powerful, but I'd kind of like to know how much. I mean, there's no like World of Darkness stat sheet where you can put pips and stuff and or dots, whatever you call them. So you just become better somehow. But, you know, as far as I know, they could just be, you know, dragging on. There's a few escort missions and protection missions that I don't like. I mean, who does like an escort mission or a protection mission? So you have ones where you find this engineer who builds you stuff, such as the silver ammo or a grenade launcher once you find the parts to that. And she's basically stood in the middle of the room and you just need to sort of protect her from a horde for a certain amount of time. It's not fun. I failed it a couple of times. Done the silver one, still haven't done the grenade launcher one because I just can't be arsed to deal with that nonsense. That's not really my bag. Protecting the squishy character. I mean, you do have to escort her back to her workshop even before that. And that's obviously an escort mission, which isn't great, but she is at least fighting with you, whereas like in those missions she just basically works on her shit at the workbench and does not help you fend off the bad guys whatsoever. She just stands there and takes damage. So not the funnest mission. Overall this game, I'm actually having a really good time with it. I spent more time than I thought I might with it. A lot of the times where you buy like an older game, you do it out of nostalgia, and when you start playing it, you're kind of like, yeah, I would have loved this when it came out. Not so much now, though. I didn't really feel that with this. I've never been a huge fan of like twin-stick shooters and stuff like that, but it works well in this case. The melee gets a little bit... You have to really get used to it, because you're so used to just moving with the left stick and attacking. In this, it's not quite that simple. You do need to engage the right stick while you're melee attacking as well. So once you've got your head around that, you become a lot more efficient and whiff a whole lot less. Because it's almost like his movement is separate from where he's pointing sometimes, if that makes sense. You can also do a running move where you'll run along and you attack, and you can get a nice sort of flow of strikes going off of that without sort of like having to park yourself. So that works nicely, especially as a lot of the bad guys are quite mobile. The werewolf fight, as I said, I died on that, and the first time I died, I had to work out that basically straight lines will kill you. So if you back away, he's able to close that distance so quickly and attack, or he has ranged stuff as well, because he's cheap as shit. That is not effective, so what you have to do is you have to basically wait for him to sort of close and then turn. So you cut like 90 degrees, and then he's attacking where you were, rather than, you know, slashing you up and knocking you down and throwing fire bombs at you, because werewolves have fire bombs. Also, I haven't read the werewolf book I've got, because it's quite recent. I don't want to say Reckoning, it's something else. It's another R word, whatever. But yeah, the werewolf in the game is very much like feral werewolf. I don't know if... I think there's an in-story reason for it, but like my impression of werewolves from like reading up about them in the game books is that they're more sentient than this one is presented as, at least when you fight him. So there's that. Because it's not like the werewolves you think of. It's like this melding of like spirit and man, really. It's less disease-based, put it that way. Yes, but Hunter the Reckoning Wayward, I'm really enjoying my time with it. It was money well spent, and money that, you know, £5 isn't a lot, so it was something I didn't mind doing in my my cash-strapped environment. But really enjoyed it. It's a great game if you have a PS2 or just don't mind emulating a PS2. It's certainly worth a go. Works fine on what's the name of the emulator? PC SX2. I think there could probably be a better acronym for that, but that's the one I generally use, and it works well in most games. Had a few troubles with it in certain games, but this was not one of them. As I said, a little bit of a fog issue, but the emulator settings was able to sort that out eventually and get a relatively good looking picture upscaled, so it's nice. And that's all you got to worry about with that. So Under the Reckoning, worth a go, in my opinion. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this one. I'm loving World of Darkness at the moment. I kind of come and go from it. My stag do's coming up, and what it's going to be is my best man's going to actually run a game of World of Darkness, like the core game. I think half of us have played it before, including myself, so quite looking forward to that, and the others will get the chance to learn it and hopefully become involved, and maybe we do a regular thing, which would be lovely, because I don't have a regular gaming... I'm one of those guys that loves the idea of all these games, that buys the books, reads the books, and hardly ever gets a chance to play it, if at all. I mean, I've got like games sat that are like Age of Rebellion and Star Wars 1, never played it. Bought the starter kit, bought the book, never played it. Stuff like that. But it's interesting reading, and you know, it's like the guitar I own. Barely can play it, but like I've got it, so if I ever like want to pick it back up, then it's there, kind of thing. Weird, I know. Anyway, guys, that's enough of me going on. Hope you have a good weekend. Take it easy. I'll catch you next time.